What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Highlighted, the All Sports Culture Podcast. Today is going to be a special one. Me, Sam, and Kurt are be giving our predictions for the NFL free agency that's going to be coming up. It's going to be a crazy one. There's a ton of players that are very, very good. They're going to be getting a lot of money, and we're going to give our predictions on it. So how about we just jump right into it? Let's get into the players that are going to be the free agents. We're going to be giving you our predictions, all three of us. Some players, we might spend 10, 15 seconds on if we think it's a pretty easy decision, and other ones we might go in depth if we disagree or whatnot. So we're probably going to go by position. We're just picking out the best players at each position. There are obviously more free agents than this, but these are really the noteworthy ones. So starting off with QB, pretty weak class here. But Jameis Winston is kind of the biggest one. I'll go first. I think he's going to stay with the Saints. I feel like most people would say that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think he'll stay with the Saints. The situation I really would like to see Jameis Winston in is obviously kind of like a Tyrod Taylor kind of role with like this rookie quarterback coming in. He kind of helps be that bridge quarterback for how many weeks. But the problem is there's, you look at the top, four, the teams that need a quarterback, they're going to draft one. Either that be the Jaguars, the Jets, the Falcons. They all kind of have like that bridge quarterback guy. So it doesn't really make sense for him to kind of go to a situation like that. So I kind of just think he'll stay in New Orleans and maybe be the starting quarterback for them next year. But we have no idea what's going to happen with Drew Brees. I think we talked about it on this podcast, how we thought he was going to retire. And then it's now been a extended amount of time and we have no idea what's going to happen now.
I find it interesting that Drew Brees is waiting to fully announce his retirement until after the new league year starts, when the cap has to be set, because they restructured his entire deal to get $25 million off the books. So I don't know if there's something there with that. I'm not really a cap guru on how that worked, but maybe there's something there that he's waiting so that the money could have came off. I don't really know, because if he retires, they have to pay him the guarantees and all that shit. But he hasn't officially retired yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
true.
So maybe it could be something like that where he's waiting so he can help out the Saints. I don't really know. But in this case of Jameis, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he'll stay with the Saints like you guys are making it out to be, because this quarterback market is dog shit. We've been over this. I mean, last year it was so rich and plentiful. This year there's no one. I mean, we've saw Cam Newton just re-signed with the Pats, so he's not going to Washington. We just saw
Never was.
And there was someone else, I can't Dak Prescott. He re-signed with the Cowboys, and that was really it. So now it's like Jameis Winston, Tyrod Taylor, Ryan Fitzpatrick. There's
but I feel like the strong draft,
some decent offer.
The strong draft kind of, balances it out a little bit.
But Sully, think about it. There's, I'd say, 10 teams who are going to be in the quarterback market this offseason between the draft and free agency. Some of those teams are going to miss out. So
You think they're going to go with Jameis, though?
Who? It depends who it is.
What would be the scenario of your team that's okay? So it has to be a team that's obviously not picking in the top 7.
Mm-hmm.
And would you say a team that's would you say a team that's trying to push for the playoffs would sign Jameis, or is it more of a team that is kind of just at the bottom of their division would sign Jameis? I don't know.
I don't
really know where he'd fit in.
I feel like it'd be a team that has a starting quarterback that they're not super comfortable with, and they sign him to be actual competition with him.
Okay, so the
I feel like the Bears, make sense, obviously.
I feel like the Bears fits that definition. Yeah.
The Bears, I think, would be one. I don't know.
Hey, Jameis with Allen Robinson could be pretty good.
The Broncos, I could see maybe.
If before we got the Cam news, that was pretty not high, but I kind of would see him going to New England.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I couldn't see Bill dealing with Jameis. I think he'd beat his ass.
I also saw the Colts maybe being one for him. I talked about that last year in my free agent predictions video, and maybe the Giants or Philly. I could see Philly.
I mean, it makes a little bit of sense. Yeah, I don't. I just think
if Washington can't get their guy, because they're
know.
not going to get a free agent, they have to trade for someone or draft someone. I don't know. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, but I saw a tweet earlier today that's like, the Saints are only $16 million over the cap. How do we expect them to get under the cap now? It says, Mickey Lubis, Taysom Hill has a $16 million cap hit. We could cut him. Sean Payton. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
It's just
I mean, that contract's horrible. We've said that in the past.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It's
he's
terrible.
a versatile weapon. Those don't
So
So
bad.
stupid.
I don't want to be known as like a Taysom Hill hater, but
I'm a Taysom Hill hater.
Yeah, I might join the train.
I'm a Taysom Hill hater.
Let's go on to
Probably a
running
great
back.
guy, but
Yeah.
Right.
in terms of football, no.
Like the contract's what does it. All right, sorry.
Yeah,
continue.
no, 100%. If he was on like a really cheap deal, he would be like a solid gadget, throw him in.
Right.
But
Yeah.
they, like we said in the last podcast, is reiterating a little bit. We'll stop after this, but I think that contract forces them to use him more than they should.
100%.
They kind of just put him in and like, listen, you got Drew Brees. He wasn't great last year, but even 2 years ago, they tried to use Taysom. It's like, you got Drew Brees. Like, why are you putting in Taysom Hill? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. Did something just happen, Sam? Or are you?
A Packers thing happened. It's not
it's probably like a
exciting.
medical staff got lunch or something.
It's a restructure. We're good.
All right.
Let's move on to running back. Speaking of Green Bay,
Speaking of
Top-
Green Bay,
top running back free agent Aaron Jones is hitting the market. He did not get franchise tag. Thank God. I did not want to franchise tag him. Although the franchise tag for the running back is only $8 million this year. So if they did, it wouldn't have been the end of the world because his cap hit would have been so low, like compared to like what other top running backs are getting. But Aaron Jones, he is seeking, I know too well about this situation. He is seeking Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara-esque money. Like he wants 12, 13 mil. And
unemployed, though.
I'm pretty sure Ian Rappaport said that the Packers are still talking with him. God, I hope this doesn't come to fruition. They're talking with him, and Green Bay's offered like a little over 9 mil per year, and that's like
all
their
he should
ceiling.
get.
It's kind of how I feel. Now, I will say this before anything: Aaron Jones, he is the best person ever. He is such a fan favorite. Whoever signs him,
He's a
you're
great
gonna
guy,
love
so he deserves the money.
Yeah.
He does. I will say
That's like an
this.
extra 2 mil. Good
I
guy
feel-
bonus. Come on.
The thing is, like, I say this about like you can say this about any running back. You're like, this running back is so talented, they're so great, but they don't deserve the money, but they also deserve the money, just not from us.
Yeah.
I feel so condescending saying that, but it's just my opinion on the whole thing to not pay running backs. And
Running
Jones-
backs, like a position more than any, deserves the money, but at the same time, like you just said, they don't deserve the money at all. Like playing a running back in the NFL, no position gets their ass beaten more than a running back. Yet we don't want to ever pay them. So it's like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird position. But yeah, like you were saying, I mean, 9 million is the most I'd pay Jones.
I wouldn't even pay him. I'm being completely honest with you. Like,
No, I think that's fair. If you have Dylan, if you have a young running back to back him up, I wouldn't pay him either.
yeah, he kind of like he's a fantastic player. I mean, he scored 35 touchdowns in 34 games in the past 2 seasons, which is ridiculous. But I will say this: when our line sucked, he sucked. I mean, he was awful in the NFC Championship game against Tampa this year. He had 2 fumbles, and one of them cost one of them. One of them Tunyon recovered, thank God, and then the other one was right out the half, and Tampa scored off of it. And that kind of put us in a hole. I mean, so much went wrong in that game, but I mean,
Well,
I
want to say this because I don't mean to discredit Jones when I say this, but you think about this. I think about this. Could Jones literally be right now in a better situation in Green Bay? Obviously, he has an MVP quarterback, an elite O-line, a creative head coach, a good scheme for him. And I just feel like a team's going to see what he does productively. They're going to overpay the hell out of him. It'll be like a team like Miami or New York. And I just don't think he's going to do what he's getting paid over there.
yeah, I mean, we've been talking with him on an extension since last year's combine, and nothing has gotten close to happening. There was a report mid-season that the Packers offered him top 5 running back money just with low guarantees, and he turned it down and then fired his agent and hired an agent who inspires his players to hold out and get their bags. I don't think this is happening. I don't think we're going to extend him, and that's for the better of the Packers cap situation. And I hope he gets paid. He deserves it. He's one of my favorite Packers ever. He's definitely my favorite Packers running back ever. I remember like in the first few years, he was not being used by Mike McCarthy at all. So we essentially wasted 2 seasons of him, and everyone was campaigning for him to get used. But yeah, I think Miami, New York. I think New York would be good because it's the same scheme, because it's Matt's brother.
You guys think the Jets are going to make that mistake again?
I don't think they will, but it's Joe Douglas. It's not whoever their old GM's name is. The old GM signed Lev Bell, but they have a ton of money. And, you know, Matt and his brother, they are siblings. Matt and Robert Saleh, they are best friends. You know, there could be a little bit of overlap there.
Always pointing out the connections. Sam, you know connections like I've never seen before. You're like, this guy is cousins with that guy. They ate dinner last week. I'm like, how do you know this?
I am glued to everyone's LinkedIn in the NFL.
It's crazy.
Sam memorizes it before every season.
Yeah.
But
all right,
where do you guys think he's gonna go?
Prediction. Yeah, I think he's just gonna go to the Dolphins. I feel like the Dolphins have, although I guess you could say the Dolphins are in a similar position as the Jets about making mistakes paying running backs, but not to that extent. I mean, they paid Jordan Howard a little bit, barely even played him, but that's not to the extent that Le'Veon Bell got paid and all that stuff. But I think he's going to go to the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going in the right direction. Aaron Jones, if you add him to that, would be really strong. But like you said, I have always said about Aaron Jones, he's a great player, but if he doesn't have that hole opened up for him, he's an average running back at best. He explodes through holes like very, very good, but in terms of if he doesn't have a very, good O-line, I don't think he's going to be a great player. But I still think Miami's probably going to give him a decent deal. I'd say around like $12 million.
Yeah, Miami or New York, what I just said earlier is the 2 teams that come to mind. I won't go into depth because you guys explained it.
I feel like the Cardinals are a sleeper team for him.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw that out there. But
that would be pretty good, actually. I like that.
Yeah, I just want to throw this out there. If you're paying a running back, I am more okay with paying a running back if your quarterback is on a rookie contract. That's why I'm mostly okay with the Joe Mixon deal, because Burrow is on his rookie deal. And like, if you have a truly good, but if your quarterback is like top 10 in salary, don't pay a running back at all. Don't even sniff the idea of it, because it's just not going to work out for you.
Don't even sniff it.
Don't.
Oh, okay. Speaking of other running backs, I mean, Jones is the premier guy. But there's also Kenyon Drake and Chris Carson. I mean, I don't have big opinions on these guys. I don't think either of them will be back with their teams. I mean,
Kenyon Drake's back with the Cardinals. I mean, I'm gonna punch a wall. Shouldn't be.
He stunk last year. He was so bad. What are you guys feeling? What are you guys feeling for these two?
I mean, the thing is though, like, we'll name off teams like, New York and Miami for every single running back position, and teams that need a running back, because obviously it just makes the most logical sense. So I couldn't, off the top of my head, obviously those make a lot of sense. But I kind of agree with you on the standpoint of, I don't think they'll return to their teams. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see how much Chris Carson will make. If he's going to get around like 9 or 10, 11 or 12, we'll see what happens there. But obviously he's going to be wanting a good bit of money. And obviously we've talked about if he's deserving or that of not. And then obviously with Kenyon Drake, we've just talked about how much he's stunk the bed. Chase Edmonds is the GOAT. So I just don't know what's going to happen with Kenyon Drake. But like I said, I really hope it's not with Arizona.
Yeah, I don't think he's even back in Arizona. He was very, very bad. Carson returning to the Seahawks, I don't think it's a horrible idea. But teams for Carson, a team like the Steelers could be good. They definitely need a running back. He kind of fits that identity. I think the Bills, too. I don't know how much money the Bills have. I have no idea. I know they just re-signed Williams and Milano. But I think he would fit the Bills perfectly. That's kind of like their identities, like punch you in the mouth. And that's kind of Carson's thing. So I think it would be a good fit for them. But like we said, he might want a lot of money. I don't know if the Bills have that cap space, but it would be a good fit. As for Drake, I really have no idea. I think he could go anywhere because I don't think he's going to get a lot of money. So yeah, a team like maybe the Dolphins try to, definitely not the Dolphins. Definitely not the Dolphins. I don't even know why I just said that. He is definitely not going back to the Dolphins. But yeah, another team that needs a running back that maybe already has a guy that they put in for, first and second down. Maybe Drake can be that guy who kind of spells him a little bit, and I don't think he'll get a lot of money.
Yeah, I feel like both of these guys are gonna get incentive low guaranteed deals. Carson specifically because of his injuries. But yeah, I think Atlanta could be a sneaky team for like Chris Carson. But I like the Bills. I feel like that one is good for like a Chris Carson. But yeah, let's go on to receiver because this free agent market is rich at receiver. I mean, there's so many guys that you could sign. And as we spoke on earlier, Kenny Golladay is hitting the open market. What do you guys envision for Golladay now that he's hitting the open market and he's going to get PAID?
He is going to get paid, and he's deserving of getting paid because the situation in Detroit was terrible, even though he had a great quarterback. We've talked about how much of a mess Detroit is, so to see him finally go to an organization that hopefully will treat him or build a good support system around him will be a lot better. The prediction for me, Sully's going to like this. I think it's the Giants. We've talked about how the Giants need that wide receiver, that true guy. And I think that, we've talked about how, the Giants, they're going to rock with Daniel Jones. And what better could you want with Daniel Jones than to give him Kenny Golladay and a true number one receiver? So I think that's where he'll end up.
Yeah, I think I would like the Giants to sign him. I love Kenny Golladay as a player. I think he's really good. I mean, he's not like spectacular, but he is a great like contested catch player. And I feel like that's kind of what Daniel Jones needs a little bit because, as we know, Daniel Jones isn't the best quarterback of all time. So he needs someone that is necessarily open when they're not open, and that's kind of what Kenny Golladay is good at. So that would help Daniel Jones. I think the Giants would be a great suitor for him. But another team is like maybe the Ravens. Although we've talked in the past, I don't really feel like the Ravens are going to spend too much money at wide receiver because they don't utilize them the best. But maybe that's because they have horrible wide receivers. But my official prediction, I'm going to go with the Giants. I think that the Giants are going to try to get at least a wide receiver, whether that be through the draft or free agency. It very well could be through the draft, but if it's not, I think that they are going to try to get a Kenny Golladay or a top receiver.
The Cam Newton deal tells me a lot. I think they believe in Cam, that he can be their guy. They just fortified that offensive line a shit ton. That offensive line is going to be arguably the best next year in the NFL. And I think they're going to put weapons around him this year. I'm predicting Kenny Golladay to New England, and I feel really good about it. New England has a ton of money to spend, and I think they're just going to throw the bag at him because he feels like the receiver that they would most go for in this market. I don't really see them going for Juju or Fuller. I think Golladay is the guy they probably will target, and I think.
You think Golladay will want to go to New England though?
Why wouldn't he?
I mean, listen, I may hate on Cam a little bit, but I think he is horrible.
He's not good.
I feel like the NFL players are higher on Cam than we are.
I think I agree as well. I think that has a lot to do with like the respect they have for him based on like the performance he's had in the past. But at the same time, it's like I can't speak for Kenny Golladay, but if I were him, like I would be like, I can't go there, dude. Like I'm gonna catch 60 balls next year if I'm lucky.
Well, let's be honest here. They had the worst weapons in the NFL last year, and their offensive line is now arguably the best. I feel like they're going to try. I mean, even
I just feel like
quarterback, it doesn't matter. They have to get weapons, and I feel like Golladay just is going to get the biggest bag there. I feel like they're going to offer him a ton.
Yeah, I don't want this podcast to turn into me shitting on Cam Newton, so I'll make this brief. But
you're just happy he's not with you. You're just happy.
I mean, yeah, I am happy because
it's so bad.
But if he did sign with you, you would be Mr. Defender over here.
No, I wouldn't. I would probably. I'd be like, I'm no longer a fan of this Washington. No, I wouldn't say that. I kind of want to blank on what I was gonna say. Oh yeah. So I just feel like obviously, we talked about the weapons with New England, and it was horrible last year. And the number one thing they should be doing is obviously building something around Cam Newton. I'm not arguing or disagreeing with that, but at the same time, and I'm not saying you are having the stance, Sam, but I feel like we can't just say that he had like the no weapons as a way to like almost back up the performance that Cam had last year, because it was terrible.
I'm not defending it.
I know. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying I'm not expecting anything too different next year.
No, I just think they believe in him. They obviously paid him. I think they got a great contract for him, by the way. I'm seeing people shit on it.
It's because they don't understand like the
base value. It's $3 million guaranteed.
No one ever looks at that though, Sam. They just read the tweet and they go, "Oh my god, this is so bad."
Like, "Oh my god, that's so bad." Even though over 2/3 of it is incentive laden, and also $14 million for a starting quarterback is a steal nowadays.
I mean, I will say I wouldn't pay him $20 to be my starter.
All right. Let's move on. We got Juju Smith-Schuster, who yesterday said that's a negative on an Instagram poll.
Yeah, that was funny.
I saw that.
I feel like that's a troll. I feel like he's still. It's not like for sure that he's not coming back yet. But I'm going with the Jets. I just feel like he fits the Jets the most, and I feel like the Jets would be open to paying him. And he just kind of feels like he'd fit that New York lifestyle. I don't really know. And that he's.
I can see that, yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to go with the Jets for Juju.
I'm going to go with the Colts. I think he's going to go to the Colts.
I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Ooh.
He was rumored to the Raiders, I think, right?
I
remember hearing that.
It's just kind of been speculated a little bit. And I, like Sam said, I kind of just picture him as a Raider. I don't know. I just kind of I think that just makes sense. Obviously, we've talked about the weapons that Vegas has had, and while it hasn't been awful per se, but I just think that they could get a guy like Juju, and obviously wouldn't hurt them. So
T.Y. Hilton's a free agent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Juju's going to the Colts.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well,
Will Fuller.
I will say my prediction for Will Fuller was the Indianapolis Colts. So
I am the same. Right. I am the same.
That would be probably a better fit, honestly, for Wentz. But Will Fuller is not going to go to the Colts. He is going to the Dolphins.
Ooh, okay.
Dolphins.
You think Deshaun's going to follow with him, though?
No.
Can we have Will Fuller go to the Cardinals just for the jokes?
I actually think that would be a fantastic.
Oh, but it'd be hilarious.
I didn't understand that at first. Yeah, that would be really funny.
A perfect wide receiver too, because we've already seen it. But I mean, that would just be so much fun, and honestly, I could see that happening.
All right, it's gonna happen now.
I'm also gonna go with the Colts because I think he could be that Deshaun Jackson for that offense. And he would be awesome in that role. I think Miami would be good for him, though. But sleeper team, Green Bay Packers, just throwing that out there because, we almost traded for the man. But I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's happening. He's going to get paid. Is that it? We have anything else to say about Will Fuller?
No, that's it. I will say, I'll say this later when we get to the other player. Corey Davis. I think he's going to go to the Ravens.
I agree.
I don't think he's going to get a big contract, though.
The Ravens?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to go with the Giants.
I can see that, too.
I don't like that.
I like Corey Davis. I think he's good. Was he deserving of the 5th overall pick, though? No. But he's still good.
I don't know.
I feel like the Giants are going to sign a receiver. I just don't think it's going to be a big name. I think it'll be one of the names, but I don't think it's going to be the top name.
That's kind of how I feel with Baltimore, so that's why
that's how I feel about Baltimore. I hate signing guys that are like I wouldn't even call Corey Davis. I was saying I feel like Corey Davis is kind of like a tier 3 guy. So not in terms of like he's a wide receiver 3, but like a tier 3. Like in terms of this free agent class, I would say Galladay is by far a tier 1, and then you kind of have like Juju and Fuller in tier 2, and then I would say Corey Davis is your tier 3.
So what if you signed Corey Davis and then you drafted like Devontae Smith?
I like that. That's a good idea. Okay.
And you would be paying Sterling Shepard and Corey Davis.
Yes.
Wide receiver 2 and 3.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, what I was going to say is I don't really like signing. Well, you kind of said it. I don't really like signing like tier 3 guys to try to play like a higher role. But at the same time, it's like if you need a 1A receiver, teams always try to like patch the holes with a guy that's not really as good and they think it's going to work. They're like, yeah, let's just get a bunch of like C guys and throw them out there. And if you add it all up, that's got to be an A, right? And it just doesn't really work. That's kind of what the Giants did. They had Slayton, they had Tate, they had Shepard, Ingram. It didn't work. Maybe because Daniel Jones isn't very good, but it still didn't work that well. So that's kind of why that's how I feel about that.
All right.
But, yeah.
Last receiver we're going to talk about, Curtis Samuel. I feel like me and Kurt are going to have the same answer.
I feel like you're right. Washington.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. I love it too.
Yeah, I could be down with that. I think the Dolphins are going to get Samuel or Fuller. I think they're getting one of those, 100%, in my opinion. But the one that they don't get, I'll throw Washington out there. I'll agree with you guys.
I think Washington's going to get someone. I just don't know who it's going to be. They're going to sign one of those tier 3 guys, I feel like.
Kenny. We're going to get Kenny.
No, you're not.
Yeah, it's like a tier 3 guy.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad we're in agreement on that. I mean, just the Panthers connection, because obviously Washington. We talked about this with Gettleman getting Bradbury. I mean, you draft the guy, you're going to sign him if they hit free agency. And I feel like that's going to happen again. I don't know. I just feel like it.
Be low key.
I'd argue it is.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would as well. Trent Williams, he's obviously was with the Niners last year after the whole debacle with the Washington football team. Kurt knows all about that.
I know too much about it.
Yeah, I know you do. So, Trent Williams, where do you guys think he's going to go?
I think the 49ers are going to do everything they can to make sure he comes back. Obviously, they traded the 3rd and the 5th for him, and obviously that doesn't have significant value to that. But obviously, if you're trading picks away, you don't just plan on having him for one single year. You kind of planned on having him for a multi-year stint in San Francisco. So I kind of think San Francisco is going to be the team there. But Sam, I know you're going to bring it up. Indianapolis, obviously they're in need of a left tackle. It makes a lot of sense. And if Indianapolis really wants to go all in and be a Super Bowl contending team, this is a move they should make because it is easily the best left tackle in football. And like I just said, Indianapolis is in need of a left tackle now, and it makes a load of sense. But I think he's going to end up in San Francisco still.
My pick's Indy. I love the idea of Indy just saying, fuck it, we're going balls to the wall. We're going to help Wentz, give him absolutely no excuses to be like, I suck this year because of this, this, and this. No, you are getting absolutely no excuses. Trent Williams would be a fantastic add to that offensive line. They have the money to pay him what he wants. Now, I don't know, because they're going to be losing some specific players on defense as well. So I don't really think they're going to get both Fuller and Trent like I'm predicting. I think they'll get one of them and then sign someone on defense. But, just for the sake of variety, Trent to Indy. I'd love that more for them if they signed Trent more than if they signed Fuller, because I think Trent is the best free agent out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I made the joke when we talked about this last week or whenever it was. Like, if you get Trent and Quentin Nelson on the same side of the line, you might as well just not line up there on defense. Just go to the other side, and just because you're not getting through that. It's obviously the 2 best linemen at their position. That would be ridiculous. Wentz would have all of the chances to succeed. With that being said, I still think that he's going to stay with the Niners because we've talked in the past that we think the Niners are, they had a bad year last year, but it really wasn't because they're a super bad team or bad roster or whatnot. We think next year they're going to be a big bounce back candidate. I think they're going to try to push to win this division. And what better way to do that than sign the best left tackle in football, Trent Williams? He's going to want a lot of money. We all know that. Left tackles get paid in this league, and he's debatably the best. So he's going to get a lot of money, but I still think it's obviously worth it to pay him, and I think the Niners know that, and I think he's going to stay. Obviously, the team that he's already a part of kind of has a little bit of an advantage because they already know him and whatnot, unless they had a bad experience or whatever. So I think that the Niners are going to be able to keep him.
He said he wants to go back, so I think he'll go back, but I want him on Indy so bad.
You're trying to get frisky?
I do. I am. All right.
Well,
Joe Tooney. for the guard spot. I'm just going to put this straight into the ether. He's going to Cincinnati
I agree.
or the Chargers. One of those two.
like
I'm going to say
Cincy.
Cincinnati, though.
Him, and then Sewell at 5. It's gonna be great. Since he's gonna be very happy.
Yeah, just for the sake of that would be awesome. I'll go to Cincinnati too. I just gotta say I hate the way his name is pronounced. Tooney, like it should be Thuney, right?
Sure.
Tooney sounds better, though.
No, it does, but it just pisses me off when I see TH and it's Tooney. It's like, come on, man. I'd pay him like $1 more million if it was Thuney. That's all I gotta say about that. But yeah, moving on to center.
You didn't make
Corey.
a pick.
Oh, I said I'm gonna choose Cincinnati as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Moving on to center, got Corey Linsley. My man Sam knows all about that.
First team All-Pro.
But
He's not coming back.
doesn't look like he's coming back.
He is not coming back, even though I want us to re-sign him so bad.
So where do you think he's gonna go, Sam? You probably know the most about the situation.
I've narrowed it down to 2 teams that I think he'll go to. One of those being the LA Chargers. Obviously, they just released Trey Turner. Their starting offensive line is horrible right now.
It's not bad.
And the reason why I put the Chargers is because the Chargers are going to be spending an offensive line. That center to quarterback connection is very important. And also, Brian Balaga's there, who has familiarity with because they obviously play on the Packers together. But my official pick is going to be the Baltimore Ravens
Fair enough.
because
All right.
they have a massive need in that interior and that center. And I think he would be fantastic in that scheme. He's improved so much at getting to the second level as a run blocker, and he'd be fantastic for them. And I feel like Baltimore is going to prioritize offensive line signings more than receiver, like some people are saying they will, or they won't. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Ravens.
So my official pick is the Chargers. It just makes a lot of sense because the Chargers O-line, I think Sully could be out there and be a better offensive tackle. But
I'm elite.
are you?
It's always
big-
built
big-
different.
Big lacrosse
the
guy
size.
turn into offensive tackle.
I got the size. I'm 5'8" on a good day. I'm 150. Come on, those are prime numbers.
That's big time. But another team that I want to throw out there, I'll stay in the AFC North, is the Steelers. They're kind of in that needing of center, and I just think that kind of makes sense. I know Steelers fans are like, we're getting him, and that's just Pittsburgh in a nutshell for you. But don't think it's going to happen because, like I said, I think the Chargers makes the most sense, but I could see an instance where Pittsburgh gets some. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Chargers as well. They obviously need an offensive line, and they just released Turner, and they need to protect Herbert. So what better way to do that than sign one of the best linemen in this free agent class in Linsley? So that's my prediction with that. But next off, we have David Andrews, center. Where do you guys think he's going to go? I'm going to say, I'll give my prediction first. I think I'm looking at the 49ers to sign
Ooh.
Andrews.
So you think they're going to pay both Andrews and Trent?
Well, similar to you in that, in like the Will Fuller kind of.
But the
Trent
Colts can
Williams to the
do that
Colts.
realistically. That's the thing.
Well, I will say I
Niners
don't.
can.
Is it even? I don't know if it's not possible to pay them both. Is it not possible?
It's probably not possible. That'd be Trent Williams is going to
Okay.
cost you $20 million per year, and then San Fran is. I mean, you could. San Fran actually has 25 caps, 25
Oh
million.
yeah, no, I
caps.
calculated it
So
already.
they could structure it in a way for that to work. But I mean, if that's your prediction, I will let you have. I mean, I'm not
Thank you.
stopping you. That's an interesting pick, though. I find that interesting. I like that pick.
Thank you, Sam. I like that you find it interesting.
I have a boring pick. I have him going back to New England.
I'm going back to New England, but if I had to pick a team that would be out there that is in New England that would sign him, I would go with Miami.
I like that.
Thank you, Sam. I'm glad you liked it.